Hey, what's up, race fans? We are here for your Snowshoe Round 6 Downhill Southeast Pre-Race Podcast. Once again, I'm joined by our dear leader, Logan Mullally. Logan.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I know Nico normally does this. He's still over in Europe taking care of the racing team, so happy to step in for him when we need to.
Right on. Well, let's jump into things. Had a race this past weekend. Frameworks team got some bummer news with Anna, the little hand breakage, but otherwise, how's the team going along over there?
Yeah, for the most part, solid weekend. Everybody's getting along well. They're a good family over there, and they're having a great summer, hanging out at the lake every night, and just seems like they're just being kids. Asa had a great weekend. Still trying to figure out that balance between pushing too hard and pushing just hard enough. So if he can have a pretty safe run and end up in third with how fast the other juniors are this year, that's pretty solid. Anna unfortunately broke her hand in one of her first practice runs on, I guess that was Thursday. Other than her hand, she's okay. She didn't have a huge crash, just crashed into a net, one of the catch nets, and got her hand tangled in there. But she's pretty optimistic about it. She's looking forward to coming back. Her goal is Andorra, which is in, 3 or 4 weeks. So
yeah,
that's her goal now. She'll see how she heals up between now and then. If not, there's another 3 weeks until U.S. national champ, so she'll probably set her sights on that. She was in the commentary booth for the live women's race this weekend, if anybody saw, and she did a great job. Good insight from a women's perspective racing, so it was cool for us to have both Nico and Anna in there on the live broadcast. And then Angel was back at the race this weekend, tried to race, did the best he could, but still just pretty banged up from his big crash earlier in the season. So he's happy to get back on the bike a little bit, feel some things out, and then he's got this weekend off and then next weekend to get back to racing before they go to Andorra before their bigger summer break. So he's just on the road to recovery and for the most part feeling pretty good, but just needs a little more time.
Yeah, it was an exciting race weekend, and it was really cool to see Anna on the broadcast. It's cool to see those Frameworks logos on the big show.
Yeah, it was an awesome race. Overall, just as a race fan, it was super fun to watch. Everybody had the same track. There was no weather changes throughout the race. And yeah, it seemed like really exciting. Pretty much everybody that came down for the last few riders was either really close or going into the hot seat. So super fun to watch. But yeah, cool to see all the Frameworks logos. Cool to see Nico's got his semi-truck set up over there right in the front of the pit space. So the fan viewing experience for Frameworks is getting better every weekend.
That's so awesome to see. And speaking of Frameworks, how are you guys doing on like the bike side of things?
Yeah, from the brand side, we're working on another batch of enduro and downhill frames that we're just getting started with now. So we'll likely be sometime early this fall or this winter. We're waiting for a final timeline on that. But yeah, we're still pushing ahead, trying to get everybody those who's interested in one before the next riding season. Just working on all the small details now. And we currently still have just a few size large downhill frames in stock, which means if you want one, you can go on our website, pay for it now, and I'll ship it out the same day. Like I said last time, it's just Nico and I doing pretty much everything at Framework. So if I'm at a Downhill Southeast race, I'm not going to be able to ship you your bike the same day. But aside from being at Downhill Southeast races, they're in stock and ready to head out to your door.
And potentially you could hand deliver one at a race, right?
Sure. If you get it all organized in the right timeline, I can bring it to you. If we're at the same race, that's no problem at all.
Well, one thing I wanted to talk with you guys on, since you have years of experience being at elite level races, and something that I feel like a lot of our up and coming racers could benefit from is we hear it mentioned a lot on the elite stage is line spotting. So a lot of teams will have either filmers or just team members out, filming with smartphones, video cameras, whatever, and just checking out different lines that people are taking. So from your experience, how do you think line spotting could benefit an up-and-comer rider?
Yeah, for sure. I think line spotting has been just becoming more and more popular over the years at the higher level races. Like you said, there's some teams that have a whole crew of people just dedicated to line spotting, whether they're ex racers or training coaches or anybody that has the expertise to know what to look for. But there's a lot of people, like I said, a lot of the teams have multiple people on track at all times looking at lines at the World Cups. And we've actually dealt with this quite a bit over the last few years at Downhill Southeast as we're trying to figure out the best way to prepare the racers for the next level, whether that's the national series or hopefully World Cup someday. The last few years, we've been trying to figure out the best way to organize coaching plates. And we introduced them about 3 years ago and have been getting a little bit more organized with it over the last 2 or 3 seasons. We find a lot of people take advantage of it because they want to come get a coach plate and ride with their friends in different practice, or maybe they're not even racing and they just want to show up for the weekend and ride as much as possible. But yeah, we've been trying to limit that and push people into line coaching. I think it's a much more valuable way to help riders. A lot of people think if they can ride with somebody, it's very helpful, but really it's more helpful to stand in a section and watch 100 riders come through and see what looks like the best option and then relay that onto your rider, whether that's just telling them what it is. Maybe they stop in that section and you can tell them where to go, or they take a video and show you exactly what to do. So if you have the opportunity to have somebody that you trust to know what you're looking for on the side of the track during your practice, and look what everybody else is doing to see what looks like the most consistent, the fastest, and ultimately the best line for you for the weekend, is almost always better than riding with somebody anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something I've been noticing a little bit, like from some of the Gravity Academy teams and a couple of filmers that we work with on race day. Like I see it happening a little bit, but like you said, like someone on the ground off track, seeing what other racers are doing versus a coach plate following you down, just seeing what lines you're doing. You want to look and see what other racers are doing as well. And if you have footage of all those, then you can kind of compare times. Like if we look at some of the YouTube content that like Ben Cathro has been doing, like Story of the Race and stuff, where he breaks down like line choices and how those are quicker and stuff like that. Like that stuff can easily be applied on the regional race level at Downhill Southeast too.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Any sort of video content, it's pretty easy to overlay these days. There's a lot of simple, free, easy to use apps you can use straight on your phone. And um, yeah, pretty much you nailed it. Ben Cather is doing it at the World Cups, and it's really not that difficult to do just for your riders. Stand on the side of the track, look what everybody else is doing. Like you said, when you're following someone with the coach's plate, you're only seeing what they're doing, but sometimes there's line options that you've never even thought of. So if you leave it up to 200 other people to scout out every option on the track, you have a better chance of finding what's best than if you're just following one or two riders in front of you.
And then there's the flip side of that, where if you're a racer and you've eyed up this one sniper line, but then like you don't know if it's going to work or not. And then in practice, there's a bunch of like people hanging around that spot. You're like, ooh, I don't know if I want to go for that yet because it's going to give away my cards. So
yeah, that's always part of it, right? You want to try to keep your secrets close until you need to use them. From what I think is the best option is just do it. Like it's better to beat everybody and be open about it and say, yeah, here's all my lines. I helped everybody else go fast and I still beat them. That's way cooler to do than to try to hide everything and take, kind of like a secret line that might be faster and somebody else didn't notice. Just go faster than them is way cooler.
Oh, absolutely. It's cool to hear your thoughts on line spotting and kind of how we think it can help some racers, especially those Cat 2-3s that are just like learning and figuring out the course. It's super valuable for them.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't need to be some big, super organized group of people. It can just be if you're there with your parents, send them out on the track and just say, here's the section I need some help with, and film everybody that goes through it. And maybe they don't know exactly what to look for, but they have 30 video clips of other riders and you can do with that information what you want.
Absolutely. I think it works out great. So speaking of racing, as we move on to our snowshoe details, how much longer do we have registration open for?
Yeah, so registration closes on Tuesday at midnight. So it's the same as every other race, the Tuesday just before the race at midnight. Same goes for pit spaces. Snowshoe and us are selling pit spaces this year, so that closes Tuesday at midnight as well. So if you're interested in either racing or you want your pit setup, go on there and get them now before everything's closed.
Pit wise, I know that there's been some construction happening at Snowshoe. So what are we looking at for our pit location for this weekend?
Yeah, so we were able to get the same amount of pit spaces as we normally get, but they're broken up into sort of a smaller premium lot and then normal pit setup. So the normal pits are going to be just across the street from the main village in the biggest parking lot that's there. That's where you're going to get a 20 by 20 pit space. Our downhill southeast trailer is also going to be set up right there, so it'll be super convenient. Just a little bit of a pedal up the hill over to the western side, but it's not too bad. It's only taking you 30 seconds to ride there. And then there's a few premium pit spaces when you get off the top of the Western Territory lift. If you go straight across the street there's a gravel road that wraps around to the basin side. And there's just a handful of premium pit spaces that are going to be located right there. So you'll be much closer to the start gate. They're a little bit bigger, 25 by 25 instead of 20 by 20. But mostly what you're paying for is just being closer to the top of the lift.
Yeah. So some people that might matter, some people it might not.
Yep. And one thing to note, in years past, it's been different kind of every year, but there's no camping allowed in the pits this year. So I just don't want anybody to get there, buy a pit space, set up there, and think they're going to stay for the weekend because Snowshoe's going to kick you out. So just keep that in mind.
Copy that. Good to know. Going through our list here. So we got the camping thing. So no camping in the pits or in the general parking areas, but on Snowshoe's website, they do have a link to where you can reserve or figure out some camping spots there up on the mountain. Schedule wise, know the usual hours for Snowshoe, but are we getting some modifications to our lift hours?
Yes, we were able to work with them and open up the Western Territory lift a little bit early and keep it open a bit late. I'm not exactly sure what their summer lift operating hours are for the Western Territory, but we were able to keep it the same as the last two races. Every day starts at 9, and on practice day it ends at 6, and we're able to keep seating starting at 4:15 and race at 11:15. So those days usually get done just before 6 anyway, but yeah, they were nice enough to work with their crew and open the lifts starting at 9 a.m. and close them at 6 p.m. each day, which is super helpful.
Yeah, that's really nice to have. And let's talk about track walk, because usually that Western Territory, I think, is only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it sounds like we might have a Thursday option.
They told us that they'd have the lift spinning on Thursday. Not as many hours. It's going to be open just for a track walk. And if you want to walk the track, you have to purchase a ticket separately. So it's not included in your race weekend ticket. I know in the past, Snowshoe has had a spectator pass or like a scenic lift ride pass that's a little bit cheaper than a bike park pass. But the tracks will obviously be closed for riding. If you want to walk it, you can walk down. Just make sure before you head down the track, because Snowshoe has all of their village at the top of the hill, before you head down the track to walk, make sure you get your lift ticket sorted out so you don't have to walk back up.
Yeah, that is a good point. I've definitely had to rescue a few people from the bottom before.
For sure. Happens every year.
Awards. What's our schedule for awards for this race since it's our finale?
Yeah, so because Snowshoe has such a cool village right at the top of the hill, we're going to set up our podiums up at the top in the village. So normally we would do, at all the other races, we would do the podiums in blocks during the race. But because we have to do the overall awards podiums anyway, we're going to do all of the awards for the Snowshoe race at the very end of the race. And they're going to be up in the village. So if you're one of the earlier categories racing and you get on the podium, feel free to go free ride. There's tons of free ride trails open. The whole basin side is going to be open, and everything other than the race trails on the western side are open. So free ride all day, hang out. And then as soon as the race is over, we're going to get ourselves back up the lift over to the podium and do the Snowshoe race podiums first. So that'll be Pro, Cat 1, Cat 2, 3, all at the very end of the race. And then we'll go straight into the overall podiums, straight away after that. So it shouldn't take too long, but just a little bit different than our normal schedule.
Right on. And how are the awards looking for this finale?
Yeah, so the awards for the Snowshoe race are the same as always. We have some good stuff from Trail 1 and Worldwide Cyclery. And then for the overall awards, Similar to last year, we have a bunch of really good stuff from SRAM and RockShox. The winners of the Cat 1 and Pros are going to get Boxer, second place a rear shock, and third place a set of the new Maven brakes, which is really cool. Super awesome that they're willing to do that. They're such a huge supporter of the series and racing in the Southeast, so it's cool that they're willing to step up and not only help us with the whole series, but help us specifically with the overalls. And then Cat 2 3s are going to get the winner is going to get a tailgate pad from RockShox. They're super high quality. I think they're made by Evoc, just with RockShox branding. Second place is going to get a lift ticket to Rock Creek, so you can redeem that whenever you want. Head down there, give them the card, and have a free day of riding. And then third place is going to get some gift cards to Framework, so you can go in there and buy yourself some goodies, some merch, soft goods. We were going to just bring stuff to the race, but it's super hard to plan with different sizes of shirts and everything. So we figured just let people get what they want. So yeah, pretty cool goodies, some good branding stuff, and really cool to see all the series partners step up for the overall.
Oh yeah, super awesome. And speaking of overall, we got points chase going, both men and women elite. So how's that looking?
Yeah, it's super cool. We have people traveling pretty far. We have Colin Michaelia in first in the pro men overall, Nick Frazier in second, and David Kahn in third. Colin's from the West Coast. It's so cool that he was able to make it out to all of our races this year. It's been fun watching him race. Nick Frazier is also from the Northeast, so he's got a huge travel to get to each race, and I believe both of them are going to be there, and they're both healthy and ready to rip. So it'll be a good battle. They're about 15 points apart, and we do 50 points for the overall, so it's very likely to have some switch up there just in the leader between those two. David Kahn's been real consistent all year. He'll be there. He's excited. He's really good at snowshoe tracks, that kind of East Coast classic tech rocky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jordan Bolden's in fourth, about 10 points behind David, but like I said, we do 50 points for the win, so wouldn't be surprising to see some of that stuff switch up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy to watch how the points chase has been developing throughout this season. Early season, we usually have some points disruptors with some of our, more elite racers that are usually at World Cups. But, we weren't watching those names at the beginning. We were looking at like 5th to 7th at the beginning of the season to kind of see how things are starting to shake up. And like you said, Jared Bolden's been putting down some good runs. But, he's had a few slip-ups here and there, like his nose case to tuck no hander last race.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. You nailed it. There's always, Luca, Nico, all those guys that come to the early season races, and they look really good for the first 2 rounds, and then they're off to the World Cups. But, yeah, Jordan's been super consistent. He's riding a ton, rides his townhall bike almost every day. So it's cool to see that. In the points chase at the last race, we had Chris Grice was really close. I think tied for the win with Colin, or very close to it.
I think it was like 2 points off. Yeah.
Yeah, super close. Unfortunately, he crashed at the last race at Beach and broke his collarbone. Luckily, it wasn't too bad, but bad enough to not be at Beecher this round, so that kind of took him out of it. But yeah, it's super exciting to see how all these people, stay consistent through the season and see what they can do for the overall.
Yeah, and our women's overall, another tight chase. We've got Callie coming out from Texas, but then we're coming into Logar home court territory this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. Like you said, it's really cool to see Callie traveling with her family to all the races. When I talked to her dad at Beach, they weren't planning to come to Snowshoe, but since she's winning the overall, they are going to try to make it happen, and looked like she signed up, so it'd be really cool to see her there. Reina, like you said, she's in second right now, just 12 points back, and this is her home mountain, so she's done well there in the past. I'm sure she'll do well there again this year. The track's long and really physical, and the Logar girls are super fit, so it'd be cool to see that. Erin Goldwyn in third place. Also super consistent, rides a lot with her brother Charlie, so it'd be cool to see what those 3 girls can do going into this last race.
Well, speaking of tracks, we've got a Cat 2-3 overview that we'll have on the channel. And what about, how's our Cat 1 Pro course looking?
Yeah, it looks really good. Unfortunately, we don't have a helmet cam or any track preview of it because they had their GNCC off-road motorcycle race last weekend, which is a pretty big deal for them. So they were spent a lot of their time getting set up for that, and they're working on the track as we speak now. So the next 2-3 days, they're going to be cutting in some fresh sections, which is really cool. It's going to be fairly similar, the same path as it is in most years on the western side. So you're going to start going off the Cupcake Drop, cross the road, do roughly what is the top of the old World Cup track, and then they cut in some new kind of fresh cut, steep, depending on the weather, loamy sections. So it'll be exciting. It's cool that they're willing to put in that work and build some fresh stuff just for the race. And riders always love that. Lines develop pretty quickly, something you can't just go there and ride on a normal bike park weekend. But yeah, Snowshoe's track's always pretty challenging on that side. It's long, it's fast, it's rough, and leads to some really fun to watch racing.
Yeah, we're excited for it. Got a solid team of filmers lined up for this race. Excited to wrap the Downhill Southeast season up. Anything else you think we need to touch base on?
No, I think we pretty much nailed everything. It's cool that we're able to wrap up the Downhill Southeast so early in the season and leave people plenty of time to go hang out with you guys at the Pro Downhill Series, head out to Utah and out to National Champs. So, yeah, get everybody wrapped up here, have a relaxing few weeks or hang out at the bike parks this summer and then go do some national racing.
Well, Logan, thanks for jumping on with me and giving us all some great details, and see you guys all up at Snowshoe.
Yeah, thank you guys. See everyone this weekend.